and welcome to the Spring Tarot TBR, which is the VR to Candy, Soul and Soil. So let's have a look. Even though it is autumn in Australia, we're just going to pretend because, spring is a state of mind, guys. So what decks would I use if it was spring? So let's get it started. And the first deck is the Playful Heart Tarot, because it has definitely got the spring-like vibes, yeah, and that's Sylvie. It's just full of colour. It has that childlike exuberance that I think comes with spring, frolicking in the flowers, like even the flowers are personified in this deck, anthropomorphized, whatever the word is. These are upside down. And it's got the fluorescent. If I was going to use fluorescent colours, it would be spring. More than summer. I don't know why. Summer to me is more like whites and neutrals because it's so bloody hot. Spring is the pops of colour, the bang, the wow. And that's what this deck is like. It is vibrant and bursting with energy. It's a very energetic deck for me, and it's just a lot of fun. So this would definitely be my choice for spring. This is a deck that I went to rehome and then I went to repurpose it, and I just couldn't do either of those things, although I did cut one of the cards when I thought, let me repurpose it, and then I immediately regretted it. Plenty of regrets. And the reason I was going to rehome it was because I got this in the beginning of my practice before I understood tarot, and I needed guidebooks to understand tarot, and I did not like the guidebook that came with this, but now I can read tarot. So this is the card that got butchered. I'm sorry, Nine of Pentacles lady. I'm so sorry. And now I'm like, oh, I actually like this deck. So there you go. This is a Playful Heart Tarot. My next choice for spring is the Kitten Nugget Tarot. I can't help but choose decks that are new to my collection because they're the ones I'm most excited about because they're very novel. So these are the backs. This is such an adorbs deck. Totes cute. You've got little chicken nuggies, but as kitten nuggies. And it's, once again, it's colourful, it's vibrant, and that's what spring like is to me. You got camping out under the stars with some smells, and a lot of nature in this deck. The kittens are outside. They've got their cups, bro. They're like jello cups, the red plastic cups. So they're vibing. They're having a party. They're having a good time, and they are just out and about, living their lives with gusto and zest. And those are things that are very evocative of spring. Look at that rainbow sky, stunning. So I love this deck, and I will definitely bust it out in the springtime. And then my last choice for tarot decks for spring would be herbcrafters, because out of all of the seasons of the year, spring is the most nature-esque. It's not even a word. It's just a season of the greenness and the flowers and all of the plants. So, and this deck is just full of that. It's full of plants, and once again, it's got those sunshiny vibes. It's got the lusciousness because spring is also wet. It's just a time of bountiful pastures and plains and produce and busyness. The whole spring cleaning, busy as a bee. So, getting all your tinctures made. It's a productive time. It's a fertile time, and this deck sort of symbolizes that for me because it's also a time of socializing and getting together and celebrating. So that's why this would be my choice for another spring deck. Probably going too fast today, but I've just had a coffee and I can't help it. I cannot stop myself even if I wanted to. So this is the Green Witch Oracle, and excuse the painted edges. It's one of the first decks I ever edged, and I did it with a Posca pen. Don't do Posca pens. Everywhere. It goes everywhere. But yeah, this deck has that sort of plant magic vibe, kitchen witch energy. And if I'm ever going to be cooking up a storm in the kitchen, it's during spring. Summer, it's too hot. Winter, I'm a slug. Look, perhaps autumn, but I'm also quite hermetic in autumn. Spring is the time, man. Like I said, you get all of that energy from cleaning and decluttering, and you've got amazing produce to choose from. Everything is growing and ripening and ready for the plucking and the cooking. So this is a deck that sort of, once again, epitomizes that springtime energy of creation and birth. And it's my choice. Guess I don't need to keep saying it's my choice because we all know these are my choices. And then I've got this deck here, and I keep forgetting the name of this deck. I think Nature's Whispers. This is very pretty. It's got the butterflies, and a butterfly is not a symbol of spring, then what is? What is, besides birds and the bees? Birds and the bees and the butterflies, right? the holy trifecta of spring creatures. So, or maybe the bunnies as well. I think you got to include the bunnies in that. So we've got this deck here, which is just bursting with color, with flora and fauna and lovely creatures of mystical and whimsical origin. It's full of magic, and I think spring is a magical time. There is just so much wonder and awe. Everywhere you look, the landscape changes day by day, darling, and it's full of color. You see color everywhere. It's the best time to go for a walk, I reckon, to see everyone's blooming flowers. So this deck has that spring-like energy to me, and that's why I was going to say, and that's why I've picked it. I can't stop myself. Okay, next up, you can tell by the back, it's going to be another sort of naturey deck, isn't it? So these are the backs, which I love the backs. This is a multi-artist deck though, so it is so varied. This deck, I should tell you what it's called, is the Oracle of the Essences. So it's a multi-artist deck, but this is about essences. So it's full of floral plant essences. And it just, look at it, like it's so bloom and colourful. And it is a little almost childlike. Are these all upside down? It is once again a energetic deck. I don't think I could choose a somber deck for spring. It just feels like sacrilege. You know, maybe it would be good for balance, but that's not where I went today with my choices. So yeah, this one came to mind straight away. Look, I've got a theme going, clearly. It's anything that has plants in it is probably going to make the list, or anything that is super colorful is also getting in. So this is just a deck I haven't really used that often. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't reach for that much because some of them I don't like, but I love the guidebook. The guidebook's pretty cool. And this is one of those more decks that I've kept it for the guidebook, not because of the artwork. I'd say like 80% of these pictures are not for me. So this was another one I've chosen. So there we've got this choice, which is the Light and Dreams. So this is more of the whimsical vibe. This reminds me of like A Midsummer Night's Dream. It's very it's very magical. I wouldn't say it's fae like A Midsummer Night's Dream, but it just reminds me of that kind of realm, that kind of setting. Very pretty pastels. There's a softness to it. It's quite feminine in its energy, and yeah, I think this is like the prettier, this is like a very feminine side of spring, I guess. This is what I would feel this deck is. It reminds me of just like having a picnic with some tea and some scones with your besties, making flower garlands and crowns and plucking petals. Do they love me? Do they love me not? And I love all of the animal companions in this too. So I just could not resist picking this as a spring deck because I just think it is gorge and suits the vibe. Okay, and then we've got this little dude right here, this tiny little dude. Gorgeous backs. I love the backs of these cards. It's very cute, very cute. And we'll go this way. So this is the Sparkly Lenormand, and it's so precious and petite, but it's bursting with hues and colors, and it's got that, I should always put my decks right way around, but I never do. It's just got that fun vibe. It's really easygoing. It's very kawaii, which I also associate that style with spring and like cherry blossoms and all that kind of jazz. And this taps into that energy. And the sparkles, everything's sparkling and shiny and new and fresh and enthusiastic. So that's why I've picked it for this spring theme. Okay, so the last two ones are decks I have yet to use. So these really are TBR because I have not yet played with them. And as you can see, this is a woodland warden. So even though I haven't played with it, I did trim it. I trimmed mine so far down. Do I regret it? I do a little bit, but I really like mini decks. And I thought I could do it with this one. So this is a real hack job, guys. So excuse the hack job, but I just felt like it. So I have not yet played with this. I've done my little video, which is coming up soon, my walkthrough, and I've done the deck interview. I always do the deck interview after doing the walkthroughs so I can get to know the deck. But I really wasn't called to this in the beginning, but after seeing so many people whose have very different collections, all like this deck, I thought, well, I have to give it a go. I do like the aesthetic. I actually do like the artwork. I think it's pretty cool. It's got that sort of retro scientific journal archive kind of illustration style, and I think that's rad. I do like the subdued tones and sort of the more darker theme, like a dark cottagecore kind of style. And the associations with the animals and the flowers is really cool, but like I said, I haven't worked with it yet, so I don't know what it's like, but I'm really excited to get to it. So even though I am working with this in autumn, this could go both ways. This could be autumnal and it can be spring-like. I think it can do both. You know, she's got versatility. So yeah, I'm excited to use this, but I would also consider using this in the spring, even though I'm going to be using it in the autumn. So the last deck that excuse my voice, my thyroid is not doing well, so I am quite hoarse, is the Fairy Magic Message Cards by Sharon McLeod. So on the back is the messages, on the front is the pictures, and this is spring because this feels like a spring tea party. The red and white polka dots, like that is very spring to me. These are fairy creatures who, you know, are associated with gardens and nature, and I can definitely, as a child, I was the most inclined to want to visit my pretend fairy friend, but who knows if they're pretend, maybe they were real, I don't know. My adult mind likes to say that they weren't there, but my child heart will probably say yes, they existed. In the spring, I love to fashion little boats out of leaves and acorns and things like that and float them downstream, pretending that my little fairy friend was in the boat. So this just brings that kind of reminiscence and that nostalgia from my childhood, sitting outside playing by the river with my little fairy friends, just having a grand old time, picking flowers, and like I said, flower garlands. It's like what we did. We made daisy chains. We chased dandelion clocks, trying to see if they had a key inside so we could all make a wish. And this is what this deck epitomizes to me. And a little bit of mischievousness. There's a little bit of cheekiness, I think, with spring, and this deck is like that. It's not all sweet and innocent. There's a bit of playfulness involved. But so those are my selections for my spring TBR, what I would choose if it was spring here in Oz. It's not, but yes, for those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, if I lived there with you, these would be my selections. So I hope that you are having a spring-like morning, afternoon, or evening. And as always, stay wild, Star Child.